Namaste, and welcome to our continuing series, Explorations in Savitri, with our beloved Talakbai. We continue Book 4, the Book of Birth and Quest, Canto 3, the Call to the Quest. I'll begin.
Yes.
We are on page 372, beginning with the word transformed. Transformed, the delicate image face became a deeper nature's self-revealing sign, a gold leaf palimpsest of sacred births, a grave world symbol chiseled out of life. Her brow, a copy of clear, unstained heavens, was meditation's pedestal and defense. The very room and smile of musing space, its brooding line, infinity's symbol curve. Amid her tresses, cloudy multitude, her long eyes, shadowed as by wings of night, under that moon-gold forehead's dreaming breath, were seas of love and thought that held the world. Marveling at life and earth, they saw truths far.
So this is the difference between the human vision of and the divine vision. Man sees the surface, a figure, a form, a name, a little surface personality, habitual reactions, responses, outer behavior. But the divine sees the depths, and from the depths sees the surface. So, this is incidentally the second time that Ashwapati is seeing his daughter. The first time is when we are introduced in the book of fate, when she comes back, and that is also very interesting, where he sees for a moment, but after that it is Narad who surrounds her by his gaze, and there is a beautiful description. So I look at this one and the previous description as what Sri Aurobindo would have seen when the mother arrived.
Oh yes.
Because nowhere he has mentioned it, it's not in any records. All that he has said is that she is born free. That too, when Barin asked him that, what is your impression about Meera Devi, as she was called, he said, oh, she is born free. Which mother said it was the most accurate way of putting, because right from childhood she felt like that. All that work was already done in the previous life. But this aspect, how he could have described except through the Savitri, where he can describe in fullness. All this he couldn't have described. Oh, when I saw her, I saw all these things. Sri Aurobindo is the supreme poet himself. So here is a wonderful description which continues. It is a seeing from within outward, transformed the delicate image face became a deeper nature's self-revealing sign. So the face is often, actually all mystics know it, and both Sri Aurobindo and Sri Ramakrishna have used the photograph and the outer figure as a means to understand the divine configuration, if I may use the word, and the divine expression that is to take place within. So Sri Ramakrishna, even about, he didn't do this with Swami Vivekananda, but there were people to whom he would observe just physically for a long time. And the person would be seated and he would see everything, eyes, nose, everything. And then he would accept or not accept. And the mother and Sri Aurobindo had a different way. They would ask for the photograph. So if you know that earlier, people sent their photographs, even children sent photographs for those who were admitted, and they would see and then decide. So, of course, photograph becomes a means of going within into the consciousness, but also it reveals. There are description of disciples where Sri Aurobindo says, "Oh, his brow reveals this, his eyes reveal this, but this part below the nose is weak," and that's how he would. It's a whole science which we don't know. The mother said that the human body is a symbol; it's symbolic of the inner movements. So here he is describing the face. And the face which is delicate,
And mother, when Jyoti Priya sent my photograph to mother asked for a sample of my handwriting also.
Yes. So there were ways and means. It's not just about, that, okay, come in and, so there are ways and means, about the deeper movements. And especially, now he is the divine in a human body. So he has to use certain means to come in contact. That's why when people say, what is the use of my telling the mother or writing to her? Doesn't she know everything? Well, she knows everything in her fundamental consciousness. But this, number one, builds a bridge. Second, gives an opportunity to act through the external means. The outer becomes a revealing sign of what's going on inside. So this is where we see that the delicate image face became a deeper nature's self-revealing sign, a gold leaf palimpsest of sacred births, a grave world symbol chiseled out of life. So palimpsest, if I am not mistaken, is a paper on which you write, overwrite something.
It was actually a tablet in the early days. And on that tablet, one would write something new, but one could see behind it the writing from a previous writing, and then a previous and previous. And so this marvelous thing of the palimpsest of sacred births going back further.
So he could see in one vision all her previous lives where she has worked, they have worked together for the divine victory.
Yes.
So what a marvelous description. That in one vision, now Sri Aurobindo could have said he could see all her previous life, but that's where poetry comes in and that's where the supreme mastery comes in. But he is giving an image, and image of, where does he bring this image? That's the beauty of it. Such a wonderful image. Yeah. A grave world symbol chiseled out of life, her brow a copy of clear unstained heavens, was meditation's pedestal and defense. So one could see from the brow that here is someone who is deep into, has led a meditative life altogether. The very room and smile of musing space, the very room and smile of musing space, its brooding line, infinity's symbol curve. So on one side he is seeing the brow and the forehead, which is a room for meditation. It's filled with blankness, filled with the luminous thoughts. At the same time, it is the smile, because he's describing the curve. And so both images so beautifully he brings together. Amid her tresses cloudy multitude, her long eyes shadowed as by wings of night, under that moon gold forehead's dreaming breath were seas of love and thought that held the world, marveling at life and earth, they saw truth's far. Just her eyes are being described.
And her hair.
Hairs surrounded, they are the backdrop. And the lashes, as if in the night, and this is the gold moon. And what are these eyes gazing? At truth's afar. So, this is, if you want to put it, divine Shringar Ras. If in Indian thought, there are 10 types of rasas. The joy, it's not exactly joy. You can't really translate it. Essence, sap, through various, dances, art forms. So this is supreme Shringar Ras, where he's describing the face, not yet fully described. And he is describing it with such sublime beauty.
And it must be Sri Aurobindo's vision of mother.
Yeah,
I agree with
exactly. So when
you.
people
Because
ask,
Ashwapati is looking at her.
so when somebody says that, as Sri Aurobindo described somewhere, well, here it is. And how could he describe all this if somebody asked him, words would fall flat. So, a deathless meaning filled her mortal limbs, as in a golden vase, poignant line. They seemed to carry the rhythmic sob of bliss, of earth's mute adoration towards heaven. It was as if her very body was aspiring towards the bliss of heaven. And sob of bliss, a bliss which is abundant, which is in excess, and yet, it has to undergo a limitation. That sob of bliss, it's a very amazing line. Released in beauty's cry of living form towards the perfection of eternal things. So, even at that point of time, she knows, in volume 2, this must be 1912 or maybe a little earlier, the mother speaks of why there is suffering. Can you imagine what she speaks of? She doesn't say it is because of desire, because of ego, because of even ignorance. She says it comes from the imperfection of matter. I have not seen a more accurate understanding, but the fact is that the moment you are released from its stranglehold, the soul is eternally free. It is beauty, it is love, it's delight. So what happens to it? The moment it enters the domain of matter, with all the jailers around, vital and mental, it suffers this diminution. It gets conditioned to matter, forgets itself. So imperfection of matter. And that's why the transformation of the body and material life is important, indispensable if we want a divine life. It's not possible without that. We may have all the inner experiences, but it won't create a divine life. So that's why the body itself is aspiring towards eternal thing, towards the perfection.
And I think you children have to learn to work with the body. Exercise, practice, run, jump, do everything to prepare this body.
It's semi-humorously. If you don't get time to physically do it mentally. Imagine that you are doing a set of exercises. I'm not joking, it also helps. This is not the shortcut. Don't adopt it. But it does help because it, at least the mind gives the message to the body that's exercising. But don't take it that it's a substitute. Physical exercise is physical exercise. Don't fool the body. After some time it will know that you are playing a trick. So, transparent grown the ephemeral living dress. What is this living dress? The body.
The body.
Living dress. Who has described the body in this way?
Yeah.
Transparent grown, the ephemeral living dress, bared the expressive deity to his view. So he suddenly sees, oh, it is the Divine Mother.
Now he sees it, yes.
Who is coming. Escaped from surface sight and mortal sense, the seizing harmony of its shapes became the strange, significant icon of a power, renewing its inscrutable descent into a human figure of its works that stood out in life's bold, abrupt relief on the soil of the evolving universe. So, when Mother speaks of 4 austerities, she speaks of tapasya. So, normally tapasya, people think, oh, I must from today eat food only once, wear only white dress or saffron dress or whatever dress, and do this, and I shouldn't speak to someone. Now you see, when she describes this tapasya, anyone remembers what is the first tapasya she speaks of? Tapasya of beauty. And what does it relate to? To the physical form.
Yes.
Can you imagine that she speaks of tapasya of beauty for the physical form, where she speaks about food, she speaks about sleep, she speaks about work, she speaks about exercise, she speaks about the balance between work and rest. All these things come under the tapasya of body. It's not just about, it's certainly not about just artificially modeling. It's about creating the spirit of beauty inside. your body. And the body is meant to express beauty, something that the ancient Olympians knew about. So you'll see those figures, nude figures, but marvelously chiseled. None of them look obscene. You see some of these museums, one was in Russia, some of these, and they are marvelous, wonderful, nude figures. But nowhere you feel the sense of the obscene. So this idea that, but that body is something to be shy, to be shunned, to be taken as just one of those things. So Sri Aurobindo in one passage is revealing how important the beauty is in terms of manifesting the divinity within. It's a temple, so the temple should be beautiful. You can't have a temple which is... So, there we read a long passage, 2 lines which complete this, 3 lines. A Godhead sculptured on a wall of thought. I mean, it's just one line can, worth marveling. So it's like you see, I'm so sorry, well, I have to just put on silent. Yeah. So just imagine that people who sculptured beautiful images out of stone. So what was the first step? They conceived the presence. So he is describing it as a wall of thought. And it's sculptured. So the body is expressive of a thought symbol.
And Michelangelo speaks
speaks
about
about
releasing the form from the
which is
marble.
in the stone. So this is the significance, So it's not idolatry. It's about appreciating that it's not just about the disembodied spirit, but the form that embodies. And sometimes, I've gone to so many at one point of time. Now I don't feel interested, but to some of these ancient temples. And I still remember going to Mysore into one of the most neglected temples. Actually, I didn't know there is a temple, and just casually went by and no crowd, nothing, and saw a temple, some Somnath Pura temple. That's how. And it's not the Somnath of Gujarat. And going inside, we saw all these different deities, but Shri Krishna's statue was so captivating. I still remember, and we have never seen this kind of statue anywhere. And it's not a place where, a lot of people were coming. I don't know whether there was a priest or not, but one who had said that statue there was someone, who could see Shri Krishna in a living way. Sri Aurobindo describes that, O worshipper of the formless infinite, reject not form. What dwells in form is He. And then he also describes the goddess set in stone, in Saraspark, in Pune, where he has gone through a climb of stairs. It's the Parvati Mandir on Parvati Hills. So when he sees and he finds the goddess who is set in sculpture, but she is living and breathing. So this is the beauty of the form, and this body must become that. Mirrored in the flowing hours and dimly shrined in matter as in a cathedral cave. So, what a perfect description. Annulled where the transient values of the mind, the body sense renounced its earthly look. Immortal met immortal in their gaze. So, he is himself the Lord of Yoga and she is the Divine Mother. Now, this is what he must have seen. Immortal met immortal in their case.
He's looking at his daughter.
And at the same time, the divine is looking at his Shakti. So, awaked from the close spell of daily use that hides soul truth with the outward form's disguise, he saw through the familiar cherished limbs the great and unknown spirit born his child. Familiar look was, oh, my child, my daughter. That's how you see. It's like when Arjuna is treating Shri Krishna as a friend. So he sits with him, puts his arms around. One day on the battlefield, when Shri Krishna starts revealing these truths in the Gita, he says, by the way, all these questions I am asking you and you are responding, but who are you? Who are you with such a vast storehouse of knowledge which is just pouring and pouring. Who are you? So then he says, oh, you want to see me? You can't behold me with this mortal eyes. So I'll grant you a divine vision, which is a gift. Otherwise, he couldn't have seen. And Sri Aurobindo describes this divine vision granted as a gift to Arjuna. He says, subtle vision you can develop through yoga, but you cannot develop the divine vision. It has to be a gift of grace. So he gives, and suddenly he sees, he says, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I treated you like a friend, put my arms around. We pulled around. Imagine they were playing what kind of games that go abduct this princess and get married. She is my sister. Imagine, the Lord and his friend Nar Narayana playing a Leela. So, an impromptu from the deeper sight within, thoughts rose in him that knew not their own scope. Then to those large and brooding depths whence love regarded him across the straits of mind, he spoke in sentences from the unseen heights. Now, once again, just as he hears the voice which is from the beyond, now he speaks, moved and inspired by the voice from the beyond. For the hidden prompters of a speech sometimes can use the formulas of a moment's mood to weigh unconscious lips with words from fate. There is a beautiful description in Ilion. There is this old man, I forget his name, who has to carry the message of Achilles to King Priam. The message is very simple. Give me your daughter and I'll be on your side. If I'm on your side, none of the Greeks will ever stand against you, because they know he doesn't say I'm a slaughter machine. Nobody will dare to stand against. That's all. And he describes that when he goes, the accurate line I may not remember, but go and read it. These are two lines where he says, old and fragile he came, carrying the fate of a nation in his trembling hands. He's an old man. And he is himself, barely able to walk. And he is carrying the message of Achilles, which can decide the fate. That if Priam agreed, then it meant that no war. And if he didn't agree, that means the massacre and the destruction of a whole civilization. And this old man is carrying such a message. See, sometimes, Shri Krishna coming and saying, give me 5 villages. Sri Aurobindo sending a message through Durai Swami. Just tell them to accept the Cripps proposal. It is a grace. And look at the fool sitting there who says, oh, it's a post-dated check. What does he know in his room about politics? Who was the great man? The great Mahatma. I have no issues about speaking truth. We should not, be ever afraid of speaking truth. Truth is something very beautiful, and it is the cure. Message given to Jipmer. Truth cures. Because everybody believes someone to be something, it doesn't mean. And he refused Sri Aurobindo's message. So here he says that sometimes a moment's mood where, unconscious lips, they release fate. So it was fate that Durai Swami Iyer was carrying. A casual passing phrase can change our life. So many examples. Kalidas. What was the passing phrase? You are an idiot. Who said? His wife. So many husbands keep hearing from their wives this phrase. Wonderful phrase. But they never change. But Kalidas took it seriously. And he became what he became. Same with Tulsidas, another man. See, wives, you should take seriously when they speak something. What did Tulsidas say? What a fool you are. You love me so madly. If you loved Rama so madly, you would have realized him. So Tulsidas says, is it so? He is hurt. He is moved to the core. A casual passing phrase. Later on it is said his wife repented. captured by a poet because he left and went away in search of Rama. And it is said that in her poetry, she would write poetry later on. She says, she is asking the crow that when I die, let all my parts be taken away except my eyes. They are still waiting for my loved one to return. So there is a sublime pathos in that story. And yet, what he gifted to the world is thanks to his wife, who in a moment's mood let out a sentence which he took seriously and changed.
So carry on.
Yes, please.
So Aswapati begins speaking to his daughter. O Spirit, traveler of eternity, who camest from the immortal spaces here, armed for the splendid hazard of thy life, to set thy conquering foot on chance and time. The moon, shut in her halo, dreams like thee. A mighty presence still defends thy frame. Perhaps the heavens guard thee for some great soul. Thy fate, thy work, are kept somewhere afar. Thy spirit came not down a star alone. O living inscription of the beauty of love, nestled in aureate virginity, what message of heavenly strength and bliss in thee is written with the eternal sun-white script? One shall discover, and greaten with it his life, to whom thou loosenest thy heart's jeweled strings.
So beautiful this is. Remarkable. So now he is speaking to her who is a daughter and the daughter of the sun. He is not addressing her anymore as my child. O Spirit, traveler of eternity, who camest from the immortal spaces here, armed for the splendid hazard of thy life, to set thy conquering foot on chance and time. The moon shut in her halo dreams like thee. Look at, each line is so inspiring. We get so much worked up with circumstances and we want to run away. And Sri Aurobindo, I was just reading about renunciation. And Sri Aurobindo says, if life is a challenge and a difficult thing, all the more reason that we must go into it and take the challenge. This is the spirit with which, that was what you find in the Mahabharata and the Ramayana. It's not about the psychic presence. That is not so prominent. But what you discover is that they took the challenge of life. Look at one Abhimanyu, 17-year-old, 16-year-old boy. He says, oh, this, I will try it. I'll do it. But you can't come back. Doesn't matter. Let me try it. This is the spirit which we must have in yoga. So what is the spirit? Armed for the splendid hazard of thy life. Life is a hazard. But look, with one word as an adjective, Sri Aurobindo changes the sense. Splendid hazard. And what is it about? To set thy conquering foot on chance and time. So against you, who is standing? Chance. You don't know when it will suddenly hurl a stone from here or something else from there. And time, who is already conspiring. You don't know that when you have moved thus far, what event is going to strike you. That is time. And yet the soul in man is greater than his fate.
And so the conquering foot. What an image.
Doesn't matter. You have given the freedom. You try whatever you want to. And yet the soul in man is greater than his fate. The moon shut in her halo dreams like this. So, how is this?
I'd like to speak a little about the moon. Because we think now that we have been to the moon, we know everything. We know nothing about the moon. Sri Aurobindo speaks about the moon so often in Savitri. A moon-touched palm tree, single by a lake.
Even there are poems.
Yes.
A moon of two hemispheres.
Yes.
the mystic moon, so many places he has.
Yes, yes.
Yes, so it is the moon is the symbol of spiritual mind.
Yes.
So that's why you have the waxing and waning. Whereas sun is the symbol of supramental, where there is no waxing and waning.
Yes.
So the fullness of the moon indicates a spiritual perfection which you can have at the level of the spiritual mind. But it can't stay, it will wane. So that is why, Shiva holds the waxing and waning moon on his head. It's a very interesting legend. Thank you. Legend. It's a very interesting. I was thinking I must use this word today somewhere and correct. So there you go. Yeah. So it's a very interesting legend of Shiva about the moon, because moon is cursed by Daksh to die. And this curse means that man will live within limits of the mind set by Daksh. He cannot go beyond into the spiritual realms. This is what it means. Why? Because he has enticed some of his daughters. So, means the energies which are there released, he will carry those energies into higher realms. So, he is cursed. But this curse is broken by Shiva, and he says, okay, I can't completely undo it, but I will hold you on my head, so you will never really die. You will grow to fullness, come back. It will look as if you are gone and you will come back again. So it's a very interesting story. I don't want to get into it because there are many sides to it. But the moon shut in her halo dreams like thee. It's the spiritual mind. What does it dream of? It dreams of the supramental truth which is about to come. So this is this line. A mighty presence still defends thy frame. Because she is a mission child. So this, even earlier in Canto 2, the white dragon bird of bliss which hovers around her, the gods are defending, because they know that. So those who are missioned are protected like that. Perhaps the heavens guard thee for some great soul. Thy fate, thy work are kept somewhere afar. Thy spirit came not down a star alone. So this is what that you have to find, who will be a partner in the great deed, in the great mission that you are born with.
And he already sees, he foresees that she is going to find her answering soul in such a one.
Oh, living inscription of the beauty of love. Again, what a description. I mean, Savitri is supreme beauty. He speaks of the 5 suns which constitute mantric poetry. The sun of truth, the sun of power, and among them is the sun of beauty.
Yes.
And Savitri through and through. I mean, this one line, even it's beyond imagination and conception to describe Savitri as a living inscription of the beauty of love. Love has also delight.
Yes.
And the beauty of love. And now look at this another line. Chiselled in aureate virginity. Why aureate virginity? So aureate again, all this gold, perfect, the supramental, untouched ever, unspoiled. So it's very interesting, the conception of virginity. So virginity we think is something physical. But Nalnida writes at one place, chastity is a thing of the mind and not of the body. That's how you look at Draupadi. In her mind and heart she had given to Krishna and Krishna alone. So it's a very different understanding that we had about chastity, about virginity, which is still... So it's an aureate virginity. Something which has been untouched. Not only untouched, something which nothing can touch. Which will never be, sullied. Which will remain forever pure. So this purity he is describing as, aureate.
And then he says chiselled.
Missile, yeah.
It's a very important word, chiselled. We know what a missile is.
What is it?
What is a missile? Well, we have missals in the Western Church. Yes.
Yes.
So it's a beautiful book of prayers and of enlightenment. And so she is that missile of aureate virginity.
What message of heavenly strength and bliss in thee, is written with the eternal's sun-white script. One shall discover and greaten with it his life, to whom thou loosenest thy heart's jeweled strings. So this is where he is now setting the stage for her to go. It's not easy, why Shobindu is describing at such length. It's not easy, such souls, to really go and find a partner. There is a whole description in the Puranas. Kartikeya. Kartikeya is a warrior. He is the leader of the gods in the battle. And he is a symbol of the psychic being. So at one point, Kartikeya has to be convinced about marriage. And he says, no, I don't need. So Ganeshji has to try all kinds of tricks up his sleeve. And eventually say, look at our parents and how beautifully they are married. I mean, the story has many sides to it, but ultimately it comes to that how they complement each other and how they fulfill each other, how they are the strength of each other. The true significance of marriage is revealed there. So here he is saying that somebody who will complement you, who will be partner, whom you will loosen your heartstrings. Yeah.
O rubies of silence, lips from which there stole low laughter, music of tranquility, star-lustrous eyes, awake in sweet large night, and limbs like fine-linked poems made of gold, stanza'd to glimmering curves by artist gods. Depart, where love and destiny call your charm.
Oh, so it continues. Oh, rubies of silence. Now, ruby. He's describing the lips. Oh, rubies of silence, lips from which there stole low laughter, music of tranquility. Even when she laughed, what kind of laughter it was. And it was something soft, and there was something musical about it. Sometimes, if in some of her conversations, you can hear mother's laughter, and you get that gurgling sound as if it's very musical. I mean, it's something amazing. So I'm so happy that in conversations they have kept that intact. Mother laughs, laughter.
Yes, yes.
It's so important. Silence. Because these are the moments when you understand the deeper sense just through a laughter. Mother laughs and silence. Star lustrous eyes awake in sweet large night, and limbs like fine linked poems made of gold, stanza to glimmering curves by artist gods. Depart where love and destiny call your charm. Venture through the deep world to find thy mate. So this is how the great ancients got their children married, by the way. Not like advertisement or not forced by parents. I'm talking of the Indian context, who speak about Indian culture. In Indian culture, it was always the woman who chose. It was called Swayamvar. So the woman went out, ventured, and she chose, you see, and when she chose, it was respected. Shakuntala chose, not through Swayamvar, but it was respected. Sita chose Rama through Swayamvar. Rukmani chose Krishna without Swayamvar, and she is, taken away. Because she chose the significance of choice of the heart. So that's why it is said when people speak about love marriage and arranged marriage, better to love and fail than to have never loved at all. So it's all right. You grow because your heart. So it's about the love in the heart that must find. Of course, if love is very human, ignorant, imperfect, it will be, your choice will be also equally like that. But Savitri holds truth in her heart. So the love in her heart is also something very beautiful and pure. When Nolnida was asked, he had this urge or itch for sannyas. So first time his own soul rejected it. He says like that because he was about to take sannyas, and the Ramakrishna mission Swamiji, he said, you read, you come back, you know a little more about Ramakrishna, then you come. You know about Swami Vivekananda, but you must know about Sri Ramakrishna if you want to take this sannyas. And then he rejected it himself. He said, no, this is not my path. Next time he said to Sri Aurobindo, I want to take sannyas. So Sri Aurobindo said, okay, wait for some time. Then he said, why do you want to take sannyas? He said, because I want to wander all around India like a sadhu. He said, okay, come with me, I'll take you across India. So wherever he traveled with his speeches, especially in Northeast, Assam, so he went along with him. So he saw the beauty of nature and he forgot about sannyas. Traveling with the Lord of beauty, what else would happen? He describes that I saw nature in such wonder, beauty, and my heart was changed, and he forgot sannyas. Third time, the mother saw that he still has a little seed of sannyas in him. So she gave a strange command to Nalnida, because every year he would go to Kolkata and come back. So mother one day told him, go get married and come. So Nalnida, now this is a command from the divine. Literally it happened like that. So he went, got married and came back. So somebody asked him, how did you know whom you should get married? So he said, nothing. By then I was already into yoga. I went, I saw and knew. That's all. And what a partner Indulekha Dee turned out to be. For so many years, decades, he stayed away. No complaint, no grudge. And then she came at some point of time. They didn't live together and she didn't live very long. But she brought up, then he used to go every year. He had 4 children.
4 boys.
4 boys. Wonderful. I mean, at least Ranjuda, who used to, Advent, I knew him very well. And he was so sweet. Once, he used to wear a banyan which he would never take out. After bath, he would again wear that. So, obviously, it would, one banyan if you are wearing all your life. So, we asked him, why do you wear? He said, because, Baba gave me. I mean, his father had given him. He was so touched and he would wear it. Because he was a very sweet person. I mean, I used to interact with him because of Advent and he was very fond. So this is how, and when Nalnida was asked that you are not worried about your children, somebody complained to mother. He doesn't care about his children. So mother called him, Nalini, is it true? He said, well, mother, you are there to take care. Why should I bother? And then she said, all right. This is the way they lived. You are there. Why should I bother? And if you are in that state, of course you can't imitate that state. But if you are in that state, she said, all right, all the 4 children, they grew up very well, beautifully. So he said, I went, I saw, and I married. So 4 times he went, then finally in 26, when it was taking permission from Sri Aurobindo, he said, have you met the mother? He said, yes, I'll go and see her. So when he went to the mother and said, mother, once again I'm going to Kolkata, mother said, go and come back soon. And Nalnida said, this come back soon meant come back for good. Then he never went. So got married like that, and when they said, no, now no more, stayed like that.
I have an interesting story about the gentleman who I interviewed recently. He has a center in Italy. You may have been there.
I have not been there, but I have heard about it.
And he was deeply into Paramahansa Yogananda. And so he went for his initiation. And he was about to have his initiation when he tells this senior lady, I've been reading Sri Aurobindo and I really love him. And she says, if you want Sri Aurobindo, no initiation. And he walked away. He said, I'll take Sri Aurobindo.
I mean, ultimate master. What do you need after that? So, I think we'll stop here.
Okay.
And we will meet next Sunday.
Next Sunday.
Next Sunday and Monday we'll meet. And I think we can after that decide. Okay. So wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Namaste.